The Saucony Endorphin Trainer, I think this is a shoe that not a lot of people understand. I'm going to try my best to explain this shoe. Here's how we're going to do it. Quick overreaction.
All right, guys, early reaction. These shoes are a win for me. They feel like...
Comparing it to what I think it is most similar to. Now, aside from Saucony, I think this guy would compare to the Nike Zoom Fly 6, of which in that list I have used the Nike Zoom Fly 6 the most. I think and then I'm going to break it down piece by piece. So the early overreaction can kind of be its own thing, but this is a shoe that I have enjoyed the more I've used it, and some of my favorite shoes in the past year have all been like that.
All right, guys, early reaction. These shoes are a win for me. They feel light on feet. I was worried they feel heavy. Plate feels a lot of fun. There's a 3/4 plate. You still feel it in the front of the foot. The IncrediRun foam, you instantly feel how soft it is when I picked up the shoe. It was kind of wild. To me, this is like a more premium Nike Zoom Fly 6. And I liked that shoe the more I used it. Okay, we are over 6 miles into the shoes now. I did a tempo workout, fresh out of the box in these bad boys. 2 mile threshold, 1 minute rest, 1 mile, 1 minute rest, 1 mile. 1 minute rest, and I'll finish up with some 200-meter strides to add on to the end of the workout. But these shoes are really, I haven't ran in anything like these. These are so interesting. I think it's the IncrediRun foam that, like, first off kind of takes you off your feet, quite literally and figuratively. But it feels great if I'm just doing a recovery run on the heel, nice and slow, and kind of roll through it. I think Saucony has great rockers to all their shoes. And then when you get up on the forefoot, when I'm running a little bit faster, that carbon plate and the foam, like, it still feels really great. So it's really awesome. It's like the shoe has 2 gears you can kind of put it in. And I think it feels great at either one. Some people may say it has some instability. The IncrediRun foam is just very soft and bouncy. And so if you aren't really, like, if you have any pronation, then that may just really exaggerate that. I think if you have good running mechanics, though, it's an awesome shoe. Doesn't feel heavy underneath the feet. Just crush that tempo work. And this is a big yes for me. You've seen reviews out there and people say, like, oh, it sucks. It's not quite, the Power Run foam on the bottom's too hard and it ruins the shoe. But honestly, I don't think you can tell. That IncrediRun foam, just you feel it first thing, underfoot. The plate, you feel it. They're cool looking shoes, Saucony. Aside from some colorways that they have that are just whack, I don't know who's coming up with those, but they got to be fired. Or just have a very serious conversation about design style. Otherwise, the shoes look cool. They feel great.
The closest thing that I can compare this to is either the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3 or the Saucony Endorphin Pro. This is heavier and feels like a little bit more of a beefed up version of the Saucony Speed 3. It's got a little bit more bounce off the forefoot because you have more of a carbon fiber plate, and the IncrediRun foam is just an amazing foam. I'm really excited to see what Saucony is going to use this foam in, say, in the next year to come, or kind of like how it's going to build off of that. This is an awesome start. The reason why I say the Saucony Pro 3 is because of that carbon fiber plate. The fiber plate in here is just 3/4, so it goes from the forefoot to just before the ankle. In that pop off the forefoot and the kind of combining that with the speed roll technology, that reminds me a lot of what the Pro 3 was like. The IncrediRun foam is softer than the Power Run PB and the Pro 3. So all that to be said, this really is, I think, very well named as the Saucony Endorphin Trainer. Like, if you took the Saucony Speed 3, you took the Saucony Pro 3, you kind of combined it all together, and then you took all of what made that good and create a training version. This is something that it's not meant to be the most elite, top tier, performance oriented, but it's something that you can kind of use to get the good benefits from the foam, the geometry, the rocker, but it's still maybe a little bit more. It's like you're fighting with the wooden sword rather than you're fighting with the katana. You know what I mean? Like, you're meant to do the training in this just to get the basics right. And this is not something you're going to bring into battle, but of course it still is a lot of fun to use, and you can get good at nailing basics, nailing technique, and just kind of enjoying running, enjoying fighting with a wooden sword. It's still fun to do that, right? Now let's break this down piece by piece. First off, the outsole. There is no rubber really coverage on this. There's a little bit out in the front right there, a little bit out in the back. Otherwise, it is just straight up foam on the bottom. And on my early overreaction when I was running on kind of a rainy day, it It wasn't something that made me feel confident, but also I didn't have any issues with it. So kind of middle ground. It just kind of works, but it doesn't necessarily wow me like the Nike Vomero 18. That grip, the Nike waffle grip is just great. This is just okay. Now the foam setup, you have all the Power Run on the bottom, and then the IncrediRun in that peel colorway, the orange and yellow. And the IncrediRun foam is the most compressive, soft and bouncy, and kind of wild. I thought this was going to be a really unstable shoe when I had first started. The more I used it, I think I just kind of learned how to run better with this rather than kind of run sloppily, where this really, if you're landing off to the sides a lot, the IncrediRun foam, like you bounce down and it shoots you right back off. So it can kind of shoot you in wild ways if you aren't running very well. But then that's where I think the Power Run on the bottom gives it some more rigidity and structure to kind of balance that out and makes it work great, especially for a lot of slower paces. When I have picked this shoe up for some speed, doing some track interval workouts, or doing some tempo runs, the mixture of the carbon fiber plate in the forefoot and the foam has made it to be a really fun sensation. I think this is a shoe that you can definitely do everything. The only downside when picking up the speed is that I think you do notice the weight of the shoe compared to some other dedicated speed or race day shoes. Next, the upper on this bad boy I think has been a big upgrade to Saucony shoes. I did enjoy the Speed 3, that upper. This has a lot more stretch to it and is a lot more accommodating. I do have a somewhat wide foot, and say the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4 in a men's size 9.5, that was too narrow for me. This is a men's size 9.5 as well, but it fits me great. I think the upper also helps with that because it's a lot more stretchy, I guess, and just accommodates for that, and you kind of flex around if you need to. But then also it is kind of a wider shoe overall versus the Speed 4. So the fit wise, it's a comfortable option. I did have just a little bit of lockdown pain on one of my first runs, but I think that just goes down to any shoe where you can just kind of figure out how to tie it best for your feet. Now that pain, that lockdown issue is not something I would necessarily give negative points to this because I think everyone's feet are different, and once you figure out how to make a shoe work for you, set it and forget it, you're good to go. Once I had that problem, I figured out how to fix it, never had it again. Overall, like, it's a pretty cool looking shoe. Like, I like how they called this the Saucony Endorphin Trainer. I think the look, the feel, the performance of this really does remind me as if I'm like in a training level of a video game, and I can't wait to go out and collect the real loot and use the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2 or something like that. But in the meantime, this is a great option, and it's a lot of fun to train with. Standout features of this guy, that IncrediRun foam is just insane. The upper is very stretchy, accommodating, and secure. Grip is rather underwhelming, and some people may not like it, but durability does not seem to be an issue with this at all, especially at 100 miles. I'm seeing no real degradation of any area for the most part. And that about wraps it up. So if you got any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to answer. I know there's not a lot of reviews about the shoe out there, but I do think this is a great option. So 100 miles down, here's to another 100 miles in these bad boys. I'm a big fan, and we'll see how it goes. My name is Brandon, and I'll see you in the next one.